Hello, everyone. Welcome to Your Health in Your Hands. I'm Dr. David Achibade with the Brain and Body Foundation. All right, we're talking about cardiovascular health, not just in COVID 19, but cardiovascular health in general. And under that, we'll be talking about diabetes. And of course, we'll be talking about the Black race, people of color, as they are referred to in the United States. And with me on the show is none other than Dr. Harry, who was with us, if you remember, last week when we talked about COVID 19. We talked about the different elements, different nutrients that you need to be healthy when it comes to the cardiovascular system. So, Doc, thank you for being back on with us.
It's great to be here again.
You staying safe from COVID 19?
Sure am.
Did you get to move around a lot in public and all that, or are you like most people in the U.S. who are just cooped up in one place?
I'm in what's considered a blue state, so we've been in lockdown for a long time. They've finally opened up restaurants for 25% occupancy, but we were locked down for forever, like a year. So it's really
Oh,
tragic.
oh my goodness.
Schools still aren't open. Kids are still doing Zoom calls or whatever.
That must be having a real impact on these kids who
I
depends
can't
on.
even imagine. I can't even imagine. Not only kids, but their parents. I mean, the parents can't go to work because they got to stay home and make sure the kids. Luckily, my daughter with four kids is a stay-at-home mom, so she can be there and making sure that they're on their Zoom calls in different rooms throughout the house. So yeah, it's crazy.
It must be tough just having to sit down in front of the computer when you could be playing in the.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's really sad.
I hope this is over soon, Doc. And I understand your daughter in India too is stuck. She's not able to come to the US.
Yeah, we would have seen her last summer, but they couldn't get out. So hopefully they'll make it this summer.
So India is under lockdown. All right. Let's hope this this blows over soon because it's getting hard for everybody all over the world. All right, so let's talk about the cardiovascular. Why Black people in general tend to have worse cases of cardiovascular disease. And the folks, I've said this over and over again. I used to, I mean, in the foundation and with the work that we're doing, I remember we're mandated by the federal government of Nigeria to address some of these conditions and to teach about them, not just in the general public on TV like we're doing now, but even in medical schools and medical institutions. So we have been commissioned to really educate you on this. And so we're not trying to we're not going to be slack on this. We have to give you the truth the way it should be, the way it should be presented. So you need to know again that Black people are more prone to cardiovascular disease than white people are. Dr. Harry is going to explain some of those reasons. And in my experience as a doctor, I was seeing patients who would come. I mean, they were doing everything right. They would take their medications, somewhere on up to four medications, five medications prescribed by doctors. They were exercising, they were dieting, they went to stop eating meat, and yet their numbers were not coming down. They were still hypertensive and they were very, very concerned about it. And the missing piece in most cases, if not all cases, is simply that their bodies, their cardiovascular systems have not been given the right nutrients in order to function properly. And that is what I really hope you grasp and run with as we can progress in this with this episode. So, Dr. Harry, let's start.
Share screen. Did
Okay.
you?
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. I should have done that.
Can you see the screen? My screen?
Not yet.
Hold on. All right. There's usually a button that I press to share screen.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take it back, and then we'll see how we'll try
Oh,
it
wait a
again.
minute. Here it is. Here it is.
I took it back, so I'm going to. Oh, good. So it's working. All right.
You see it?
I see your desktop. Yes.
Okay. Hold on. Let me. All right. Here we go.
Awesome. Then you want to click on that last button to the extreme right bottom bottom
Yep.
extreme right. Bingo. All right.
Okay. Why are people of color twice as likely to suffer from heart failure, twice as likely to die of a stroke, twice as likely to have high blood pressure, twice as likely to have diabetes, 3 times as likely to suffer an amputation? Only 22% of Black American men, and this is globally, live past 75. And now we finally know why. A new study was done at Ohio State University and published in Circulation that showed that the cardiovascular system of Black subjects have more enzymes to produce what? Nitric oxide, which we talked about in the last segment, and
Yes.
can be more efficient than those of white people, white subjects. Now, oftentimes when I'm in the middle of doing a lecture, people will raise their hand and say, well, wait a minute, you said nitric oxide is the cardiovascular cure. If Black subjects can produce an enzyme to produce more of it, then why are they 5 times more likely to suffer from cardiovascular disease? Well, the report went on to say that Black subjects did not produce enough of the amino acid arginine to complete the process of nitric oxide production. Thus, instead of the enzyme producing another, it produced another oxidative molecule known as superoxide, which reacts with nitric oxide to create even more powerful and damaging oxidant known as peroxynitrate, which leads to cardiovascular disease and cancer. What they concluded is this: what is amazing is that the Black system has a great potential to produce nitric oxide and can be corrected very efficiently at a relatively early age. So what is the secret? The secret is arginine, that Black people have the ability to produce nitric oxide more than Caucasian people, but they need arginine. And the only way to get arginine is to eat a lot of steak, which you said you don't have, or to supplement with arginine supplement, which is an amino acid found in steak and eggs and protein sources.
I
So
love
that's simply the answer, is simply increasing nitric oxide through the use of arginine. And believe me, you will not be 5 times more likely to be suffering from heart disease or having a stroke. In fact, I often tell people that if you can do this, you can take the fear out of having a heart attack or stroke simply by supplementing with arginine.
Interesting, Doc. Let me take this second point here. I thought L-arginine had to be taken in, like you said, as supplements, but you're saying here, or this point is saying that we don't, Black subjects don't produce enough. So can the body actually make L-arginine?
Well, if it will make arginine if you eat the proper food, and it separates it, and then it is making, or is taking in the arginine. So it doesn't make, the body doesn't produce arginine. It has to come from outside sources.
Got it. Got it.
Now,
This
there
is
are amino acids that the body does produce, but arginine isn't one of them. It has to come from an outside source.
Got it. So what I'm seeing here is that Africans, people like me, can make we're more efficient at producing nitric oxide. The problem is that the building blocks that we need are not available, and because we don't have enough of those building blocks, which is the L-arginine, we tend not to make enough nitric oxide because the building block is missing. And even worse, we produce dangerous and harmful substances as a result of not having enough of the building block or the L-arginine. So it's almost like a double whammy. We produce less nitric oxide and we produce more of the other toxic.
Peroxynitrate, correct.
That's crazy. Why do we have all the luck?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Okay, I hope you have some good news for the down for us.
Well, simply supplementing with arginine, and you can reverse the process. I mean, it's that simple. In fact, what these doctors went on to say is someday a pharmaceutical company will come out with a drug that will produce nitric oxide. Well, they do. They have nitroglycerin, which produces nitric oxide. However, nitroglycerin is what's found in dynamite. It's very explosive. And what happens is you need to take more and more and more until finally your heart explodes and you die of a heart attack anyway. Whereas taking arginine-derived nitric oxide, you never have that problem.
And again, we want to really point out that it's not just going to the store and picking up L-arginine, a bottle of L-arginine, because that, what's the problem with that, Doc?
Well, arginine actually, when it produces nitric oxide is a two-edged sword. One side is creating miracles in the body. The other side is it's creating free radicals. And free radicals, when they're spinning around out of control in your body, can lead to all kinds of problems like cancer and so on. So you need to take antioxidants to prevent that free radical damage. So you need a cofactor of, when you take arginine, you need cofactors of antioxidants, which can be vitamin C, vitamin E, resveratrol, grapeseed extract, CoQ10. These are all antioxidants. And then you also need to take citrulline, which is another amino acid, but it gets the arginine to last longer in the body so it doesn't burn off so quickly. And then, you know, when it lasts longer, it does more healing.
And Doc, we're going to show a slide with that, but are there any other slides you want to show?
Oh, sickle cell. I wanted to talk about that.
Oh,
nitric oxide in sickle cell disease.
By all means, please.
Inherited from parents, affects 8% of African Americans. There's no known cure. Pain caused by crescent-shaped blood cells, as you see over here. These are normal cells, and then you have these crescent-shaped cells. Studies now indicate that patients have constricted blood vessels, so their blood vessels actually constrict, and then those cells, those crescent-shaped cells that you see here and here, get stuck in the constricted blood vessels, which causes inflammation or pain. Increasing nitric oxide dilates, opens up the blood vessels, reducing the pain. And studies are now being done in 8 US medical centers looking to nitric oxide as a cure for sickle cell disease.
Oh, fantastic.
That's huge.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I sent you a video, Doc, recently of some of the patients. I mean, we have been, so we deal with all kinds of, any more, Doc, because I want us to go to back to the full screen if you don't have any more slides to show, but I want to discuss.
Yeah, let me escape.
Okay. So I'm going to take this back so we can, oh, perfect, good. So I remember I shared a video with you about some of our patients who has had a stroke. Hang on a minute. Yes, please. Okay.
Have the police arrived?
We haven't even published it yet. Okay.
Okay.
So we're just editing that part out. So I remember, Dr. Harry, when we were talking about, I showed you a video about a kid who had a stroke and was completely incapacitated. She's an identical twin. Her sister had died from sickle cell disease. And of course, with our foundation, we give everything out free of charge. And so we had started, okay, we're going to give her something to help to strengthen the brain. So we're giving her brain supplements. That's not working. We're giving her something to strengthen the gut. We're giving her gut supplements. That's not working. We give her all kinds of things that we've seen work in several other patients, and we still didn't see. I mean, the improvements were marginal at best. And so finally, I was able to send some cardiovascular support nutrients, which is what you have brilliantly put together. Includes a lot of things that Dr. Harry has talked about. We gave that compound as a powder. We gave that compound to this child who's, like I said, suffered a stroke, almost completely paralyzed. And what the parents said is that for the first time ever, this child is coming to life. I mean, they said that over and over and over again. It's like he's coming to life. She's becoming more inquisitive. She's becoming more expressive. Her emotions are showing. She's now on her own, trying to get up by herself from the bed and trying to walk. And they showed her trying to walk. Obviously, she's still not there yet, but you could see the joy in the parents. And to me, it's like, whoa, what have we been missing here? I mean, we've been trying all kinds of other things and they didn't work. And so that's the key. So you're saying the nitric oxide is the key, Doc? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, because with sickle cell disease, the arteries are constricted, and now when you dilate the arteries, you're releasing those cells to go through so she doesn't have the pain, but also you're increasing blood flow throughout the body, including the brain. I work with a lot of stroke patients that have gone to a full recovery after having a stroke by taking arginine-derived nitric oxide and some of the other ingredients over time, because you're increasing that blood flow, you're increasing that oxygen, you're increasing that healing. So yeah, it is potential that she might have a full recovery someday.
Wow, wow. But Doc, the patients you're talking about, they're all young patients, right? It's like this patient we just talked about, right?
Well, actually, the patients that I'm talking about here are elderly patients. So
Elderly patients.
yeah, usually it's the elderly that have strokes here. So it has nothing to do with sickle cell disease. It has to do with the carotid arteries being clogged or something like that, or a blood clot from AFib, that type of thing.
Yeah, but we are trained, especially when talking about older people. We're trained as doctors that brain cells do not regenerate. So at the best, they're probably the partially damaged cells are maybe doing their part in recovering. But what you're saying is that the brain cells actually regenerate?
Well, they get their functionality back. They can speak, they can walk again, they can move, they get that functionality. It depends on what part of the brain is damaged during having that stroke. So,
Got it. Yeah, that's a big factor there too. Oh, that's great. So, I mean, I feel this kind of information needs to be shouted from the rooftops because, especially again in third world countries, I remember I read the statistic. It says that 80% of all the cardiovascular deaths from cardiovascular disease will come from third world countries. I don't know how accurate that is, but it makes sense that a large number of deaths will happen here because if a person has a stroke or a heart attack, they don't have access to an emergency ICU care the way you all in the Western world will. So if they don't have that kind of access, then it just it makes sense to take advantage of the tools that are available that do not require high-tech equipment or do not require an expert cardiologist or interventional cardiothoracic surgeon or whatever to do it because we simply don't have that.
right.
So it makes sense to take advantage of the tools that are available so that we can help those, and especially those who are trying to recover, to help them more. But most especially in sickle cell disease, because we are losing. We have about 150,000 to 200,000 that are being born every year in Nigeria alone. Of course, Nigeria is number one in the world when it comes to sickle cell disease. Half of them will not reach their fifth birthday. And we're saying that simple as just improving their nitric oxide production can save their lives.
Yeah, I mean, that's what even the study said. That was a medical study saying that if you start at an early age, then you can actually beat this. So absolutely.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Well, folks, be sure you make sure you watch this. You share this video with other people because who knows? If you don't need it, someone else will need it. All right, so Doc, let's address this whole question of should I use vitamin D for example for the rest of my life? By the way, we didn't talk about vitamin D and black people. We should talk about that too, right?
Well, vitamin D is critical for a lot of different things in the body, including boosting the immune system, but also it also fights heart disease and stroke and many other conditions that the body, as it breaks down, will go towards. So yeah, vitamin D is critical. My vitamin D level would be considered toxic, but I don't believe that it is toxic. I believe the higher you go, the less chance of you developing cancer and heart disease and some of these other, you know, things that can take your life. So, but yeah, vitamin D, you can get it by going into the sunlight. You know, that's called D3. And I supplement with D3 on a daily basis. Been doing it since 2000. So what is that, 21 years? I'm 153 years old. I know I don't look a day over 66, but no, I am 66. So, um, but yeah, it's one of my go-to protocols that I do every day, and I will do every day for the rest of my life.
What would you say to someone who has a challenge with taking the pill for the rest of their lives? As
First
I,
of
like,
all, it's very inexpensive, and taking something that's natural, that is inexpensive. I tell people it's better than the other side of the coin, which is going to be pain, it's going to be suffering, it's going to be expensive, and it's going to shorten your life. Versus taking something that's cheap, it's natural, it's widely available, and just for pennies a day, you're going to live a longer and healthier life. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? Why wait till it's too late and then you enter the pain and suffering and expensive and so on? It makes no sense. Do it now. Supplement with vitamin D
and other supplements as well. It's not just
and other
one.
supplements as well.
And quite frankly, folks, I think it's actually selfish, especially if you're an older person, because your family members or spouse and other people. I mean, if you don't support yourself now, if you don't support your cardiovascular system, if you don't support your immune system, if you're lucky, you'll go at once if there's an event. I mean, I'm saying lucky now, but if you're not, many people they tend to have an event, a cardiovascular event, or a stroke, or have cancer, whatever it is, and they end up spending a long time in the hospital getting care. And that eats into everybody's finances, not just finances, but to the care, the time, the energy, which could have been avoided or mitigated if you had been taking things as simple as this. Of course, we're not saying that this is going to cure disease, but we're saying that you need to. That's why we're doing these shows. You need to take advantage of whatever is available to strengthen your body. It's not just about prevention, it's about strengthening your body, strengthening your cardiovascular system, strengthening your immune system, especially in these COVID 19 times. But beyond these COVID 19 times, you've got to be taking something to strengthen your body because your body is being beat up, is being I say that we're under siege, we're under attack day in, day out. Our cells are under attack day in, day out. And so we need to have some kind of support to reduce the damage. We're all going to die eventually, but we need to take something that will reduce the damage so we can live a long, healthy, pain-free life as much as possible. That's great, Doc. So, any final?
Prevention before intervention. That's the secret.
Prevention before intervention. And yes, we have a book. Dr. Harry's book is actually available called, what is it called? No More Heart Disease?
Let's stop the number one killer, which is heart disease.
Let's stop the number one killer, which is heart disease. Great. So if you don't mind, we'll have your slides too. We'll show those slides as well. And then the product that Dr. Harry uses and which I use and which I make available to my patients is called Cardio for Life. If you want to have access to that, please contact us at the Brain and Body Foundation, and we'll let you know how best to get it. So, but please take advantage of information, act on information. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay strong. We will see you again next week. God bless. Bye.